What's happening, gamers? It's Ran. Today's frame we're taking to level cap solo is the airborne tornado summoning airburst bird herself, Zephyr Prime. Now, I've seen Zephyr runs before where people are using things like Sobek and funnel clouds, basically just deleting the whole map, so I knew there were some ridiculous builds out there to try out. I've never actually played Zephyr properly outside of leveling her for mastery rank. I basically had no experience with the frame, so going into this one I wanted to find out something. Is Zephyr actually one of the most complete kits in the game, or is all that footage just a handful of players who have found one specific build that works really well? On paper, a frame built around floating around the map dodging bullets doesn't actually seem like a really cool thing to play, so I wanted to see if she was more than that. So let's get on into the builds. I tried a couple of different versions of Zephyr before settling on this one. I actually tried out Silence initially, after a few recommendations to run that, but ultimately I found Zada's Whisper gave me more damage and made the run more comfortable overall, so that's what we're running here. We're replacing Tailwind with Zada's Whisper. The reason I'm not building around Tailwind for this particular setup is that I don't really need the ability. We're instead focusing on turning Zephyr into a massive secondary damage platform. That brings us to one of the most important mods in the build. Airburst Rounds. This augment gives an additional 40% secondary damage for every enemy hit by airburst up to the augment's cap, and that is absolutely disgusting when we're feeding it into our main weapon, the Prisma Angstrum Incarnon. We'll come back to that later, but the entire build is basically built around juicing the Angstrom as much as possible. We're stacking enemies together, hitting them with airburst, and then we're letting the Angstrom do what the Angstrom does best. For the rest of the build, we're focusing heavily on duration because Turbulence, our 3, is our main defensive ability, so we want to keep that up as much as possible. We have things like Prime Continuity and Narrow-Minded helping us keep that duration nice and high. We also have Energy Nexus on here for energy sustain, although to be honest, energy wasn't really a huge issue throughout the run. For some added survivability, we have Rolling Guard. So this is something I added after running into some trouble in an earlier attempt, which I'll get properly into when we talk about the runs. For the Arcanes, we're using Molt Efficiency, which gives even more ability duration while our shields are up, which is all the time thanks to Turbulence, and then Arcane Precision to give the Prisma Angstrom another massive damage boost. For Archon shards, we're running 3 blue shards for energy max and 2 yellow cast speed shards. These are pretty flexible, to be honest. You could easily drop 1 or 2 of those blue shards for some more red duration shards if you wanted to push the duration on the build even further. Okay, so into the weapons. For our primary weapon, we don't really need anything too specific here for the build to work because we're focusing on secondaries. I had the Coda Base Assist, but you can throw on anything that you'd like for a supplementary damage. The real star for us, obviously, with the setup is the secondary, and I chose the Prisma Angstrum Incarnon, really just because I've not used it before, and it has some nice synergy with Zephyr's kit. This thing's absolutely disgusting when you get it all working together. We're building around Viral and Blast to synergize with the rest of the setup, and Zada's Whisper in particular. I've also got a crit chance and damage percentage increase Riven on here with negative reload speed. You don't need the Riven at all, and you could easily replace that with something like Creeping Bullseye or another damage mod if you'd like. The important part here is we're taking the Airburst Rounds buff and then we're multiplying the damage through the Angstrom, and when you're hitting a big group of enemies and the numbers start flying all over the screen, it's really satisfying to play. For the melee slot then, we've got the Praetos, and as usual we've got it on here for the movement / parkour velocity. Just helps getting around the tile sets. For the companion here, we're using Nautilus Prime, and this is basically for one reason as usual, which is cordon. We want to group as many enemies together as possible because the more enemies we can hit with Airburst, the bigger our Airburst Rounds buff becomes. So the basic idea is Nautilus will group them up, Airburst will hit them, and then we can just delete them with Angstrom. It's a very simple loop, but it's ridiculously effective. For the operator then, we're running the usual setup again, Matter Eye Focus Skull and the trusty 547 amp. You guys already know the crack with this one. Flexibility of the primary fire is great, while the Glaive Alt Fire gives us another option for last gasp if things ever go wrong. Another interesting thing with this most recent update, sounds like they've changed the sound effect of the 5XX amp. I don't know if that's just in my head or if any of you guys have noticed that, but let me know down in the comments if you feel the same. Don't forget to like and share the video and to sub the channel to keep up to date with the latest level cap runs. Okay, let's look into Zephyr's kit a little bit here. Zephyr's passive is actually fantastic. While airborne, she falls slower and becomes far more maneuverable, but that's not really the important part. Her equipped weapons actually gain 150% critical chance bonus that stacks additively with critical chance mods. That's obviously perfect for the setup we're going for here with Prisma Angstrom, giving us a massive chunk of crit on top of what we're already building into. The reduced gravity can be disabled with Anchored Glide, and honestly, I consider it basically mandatory. It's so annoying annoying. The floaty movement without it is just a real pain when you're rotating between the tiles. Her one is called Tailwind. This is the ability we replaced with Zada's Whisper. There are builds that use it for mobility and staying airborne, but for this setup, Zada's Whisper simply gives us more value and interacts nicely with the tornadoes too, so off it goes. Her 2 Airburst fires a ball of compressed air. You can hold it to launch enemies away, but we're mainly tap casting to pull enemies into the Airburst instead. Turbulence here is her 3. It's very important, and it's the reason Zephyr is so comfortable to run. It creates a wind shield that redirects incoming projectiles away, which against most enemies makes you basically untouchable. It's not full immunity though. Melee attacks and certain status effects will get through, and things like the Tricarians, Nullifier Bubbles, Violence can strip or bypass it entirely. You will need to stay well aware of these when you're playing, but keep it active and pay attention, and her survivability is absolutely free. Tornado then is her final one, and her 4. Zephyr summons tornadoes that seek out and engulf enemies, letting you transfer damage into anything caught inside. This combined with Airburst grouping the enemies up and the Angstrum nuking them, everything in this kit feeds into everything else, and that's why the frame has so much potential. So when we look at the run, how did it actually go? Honestly, it went really well. It wasn't perfect. I had a couple of attempts beforehand where I was tweaking the build and filling it out. I got to around 100 exos and started running into problems in the first run with magnetic and slash procs. That's why Rolling Guard made its way onto the final build. Once I made that change, everything felt so much more comfortable. The successful run went really well, all the way around to 110 exos. The only reason I actually stopped is because I actually had to leave to go to dinner. You could have kept on going because Zephyr was not struggling whatsoever, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can give this frame. At no point during the run with Zephyr did I feel like it was starting to fall apart. The damage scales really nicely, survivability stayed strong, the gameplay loop just works well. Basic rotation is pretty simple. You just keep your Turbulence active, which is her 3, keep Zada's Whisper buff active, use Nautilus to help you group up enemies, throw your Airburst to build the Airburst Round stacks, throw out the tornadoes, and then just fire away with your Angstrum when you've got the Incarnon form. Just rinse and repeat. The more enemies you can group together, the higher the damage buffs become. Like I said, Zephyr is incredibly safe to run, and that was probably the biggest surprise for me throughout this run. I went into it thinking, yeah, Zephyr can do some pretty funny stuff with some niche interactions, but I came out thinking, why have I not been playing this frame before now? So after actually taking Zephyr Prime to solo level cap, I think people are seriously sleeping on this frame. She's got ridiculous survivability, great grouping, great crowd control. She's got weapon crit chance built into her passive. She's got those tornadoes that can create some really great weapon interactions. Then you've got Airburst Rounds, which can turn like Prisma Angstrum into an absolute monster. And this isn't even the be all and end all Zephyr build. That's probably my favorite thing about her. There's so many different ways you can build this frame. You can go down the route of focusing on funnel cloud. You can focus on tailwind. You can do the dive bomb bird. You can use different weapons. There's a ton of different things you can do and loads of room to experiment and play. And after playing her myself, she's definitely getting added into my more regular rotation. I genuinely didn't expect that going into this run. I thought I was just going to take the bird to level cap, tick it off the list and move on to the next one. Instead, I've found one of the strongest and most complete frames that I've actually played, and honestly I'm really glad that I was wrong about her. Anyway, gamers, that's another frame in the books for the runs to level cap. Next frame coming up from the community vote is Ivara. I'm really looking forward to playing this one. After I get the Ivara video out, we'll be opening up another community vote to pick the next bunch of frames after that. We are getting so close here now to 1,000 subs, which is absolutely insane. Really cool to see. So if you've been enjoying the series and haven't hit the subscribe yet, make sure you do. And just another reminder, if you want somewhere to ask questions, share your builds, show off your fashion frame, or just have the crack with me in the community, Discord link will be in the description down below. Got some great ideas for what's coming up after we eventually work through all of our frames, but I'd love to hear what you guys actually want to see, so let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, help me out with a like, a share, and a sub to continue battling the YouTube algo overlords. Enjoy the rest of the gameplay, and until next time lads, take it easy.
You did everything you could. I've secured enough cleansed exolizers to keep the Cascade at bay for now.
You are a blade. You exist to strike. You strike to win. The lesson ends.
Ransackt's going viral.